Hello, Babes, and welcome back to week 2. Now we are working on a breakfast meal here. So I love First Form's protein supplements. They have the pumpkin spice latte flavoring, which we're going to use right now, but many different options that you can use for this type of protein pancake breakfast. So what I want to make sure is I have everything already prepped out and ready to go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the dry ingredients first and then go ahead and mix in our wet ingredients. I'm gonna heat up the skillet as we begin to whisk this together, just so that way the skillet's all nice and warm. And I'm actually working with 2 skillets right now, so that way we can cook the pancakes a little bit faster. The goal here is for us to prep these into 2 pancakes each. You can top them as you please. I'm gonna use a little bit of powdered sugar, some maple syrup, and pecans as well, just to top it. Now, the macros that you see on the grocery shopping list and in the recipe list, that is just for the 2 pancakes by itself. So if you add any other toppings, make sure that you account for those, and let's get started. Okay, so what I have for us is, like I said, the protein powder here. We're gonna start with a 1/2 cup of flour. So this is all-purpose baking flour, however you choose to use it. If you do plan to use this, I want to make sure that you can use a gluten-free option if you'd like. These are also gluten-free for the protein supplements, but just double check if you are using your own powder. And if you do not have a pumpkin spice version and you still want to use this, you can use a vanilla whey. And with the vanilla whey, you can add your own pumpkin spice to it. So I went ahead and added 2 scoops of the First Form protein powder. I also have a teaspoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of nutmeg. So those are gonna be added for extra flavor. Again, you can add that pumpkin spice if you don't already have it. And then the other thing I have is a tablespoon of erythritol. So this is a sweetener. My version is monk fruit. You can use allulose, you can use other types, stevia, but erythritol does have a little bit of that negative carb balance to it. So I want to say negative as in net carbs. They still count, but they are counted in your favor since it does cost energy to digest this. I'm going to crack in a little bit of sea salt in here, so about a 1/4 teaspoon of that. And then we're just going to whisk together the dry ingredients so that way they're evenly combined. So I have a large mixing bowl here. If you're gonna use this just for 2 pancakes or on your own, you can use a smaller one, but I think that a large mixing bowl is great even just for pouring out the pancakes individually that has a little pour spout, or you can even use one of these cups to get the measurements pretty similar, which I'm actually gonna do myself. So now that we have the dry ingredients, I'm gonna turn on the skillet here real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so the stove is on medium heat for both of the skillets right now. As we add in our wet ingredients, I have a 1/3 cup of water I'm going to add in here. I also have a tablespoon of vanilla extract. And if you want to add a little bit more water, I should say, for your own consistency, you can do so as well. And then I realized I also forgot the 1/2 cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. So let me go grab that real quick. All right, so coming back with the plain non-fat Greek yogurt, we've got about a 1/2 cup here. That looks to me about right. Just gonna get that in there. Scoop out all the little bits that I can. Now, you can use a spoon. Obviously, I sometimes use my fingers. Perfect, okay. So have that set aside. The last 2 things I wanna do is crack open 2 large grade A eggs. Got one here. And just like that, whoop. Make sure you get all the shells out. Okay, let's go ahead and whisk this all together. Looks amazing. Smells even better too. Make sure this is all nice, no clumps in there. So I like to measure mine out pretty evenly. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna use a 1/2 cup for this. So I would even say like a 1/4 cup if you wanted to a 1/2 cup, but anywhere in between should be just about right for a nice even scoop. So we'll take this over to the stove, get ourselves ready, and get started. Okay, so these skillets are pretty hot now. I'm actually happy with the temperature. I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit below medium here, and we'll get the pancakes started. If you're worried about it spilling, just bring that with you. I'm a little OCD when it comes to my shape, so I'm just gonna round these out a little bit, as they're already starting to cook pretty well on the edges. Okay, so as you notice here, they're starting to bubble a tiny bit. You just wanna make sure that the bubbles come all the way throughout the pancake, and you'll even see the edges start to crisp up a tiny bit. So that means that they're cooking on the other side. You wanna get to about halfway through that cooking point, and then we can flip them over nice and easy. So we'll just go ahead and process through, fast forward through this part, and see how the pancakes come out. I would even say that it probably takes about maybe 2 to 3 minutes per side. You really don't wanna overcook them, but at the same time, you want them to have that nice golden brown color. And with the color of the pancakes already through the batter, you can tell that these are gonna be that nice, beautiful autumn, sunburnt, almost brown, but yet orangey color. So I'm excited to see how these come out. Now, do you see here how the bubbles are starting to come through? You can really see them all throughout the entire pancake. That tells me it's about ready to flip. So I'm gonna just take this over, flip it to the other side, tuck in my corners. Again, I like to be a little bit more nice and neat, and that's a great even color right here. I would even say I could have taken a little bit more on this time, but that's a pretty good color as well. This is a little bit of a bigger pancake, so I'm gonna take a couple minutes with it. But again, if you wanna be accurate, make sure you use a measuring cup. I'm not too concerned. This is all going in my stomach at the end of the week anyway, so how I divided this recipe, the calories will still be the same for me at the end of the week. All right, so now that we've finished all of the All right, and so what I have for us here, obviously, like I said, first form, thank you so much for these. I'm gonna dress these up a little bit with a tablespoon of butter. So I'm gonna put half of this in here. I am at a point right now where I can afford a little bit more calorie intake, so I am taking advantage of that in full swing. So I'm gonna let the butter kind of sit in here, melt a little bit in the middle. And then same thing, if you want, you can kind of just smear this along the sides, maybe even heat up the pancakes in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and then you can put the butter with it to melt as well. So I might actually do that right now and put it in just for a little bit. Okay, so now that the butter's had a chance to melt a little bit more, ooh, I love the steam coming off of that. Now it's a little bit easier to spread as well. So just giving yourselves a heads up. You can use a knife. I don't know why this butter knife is not cooperating with me, but we're just gonna keep this right on the top. Okay. I love me some good old-fashioned Vermont or New Hampshire maple syrup. So I'm just gonna drizzle this on top of here. Every last bit that I can. I've used about 1.5 tablespoons. I didn't use the full 3/4 of a tablespoon. I didn't use the full tablespoon in itself. So, and then here, I'm gonna have this. So I used about 1.5 tablespoons of the maple syrup. That is correct the first time. And then I also grabbed about 14 grams, so half an ounce of the pecans. And then we're just gonna coat this with some powdered sugar on top. Oh my goodness, that looks phenomenal. I'm super excited to dive in and try this out.